Do you know what the millennial pause is?
No, that's a new one on me. And also that little dingle in my ears says that I've been a proper whatever it is that I'm completely unprepared and undown with it.
Or it's okay. It's been a while since we've done this. So I don't blame you. There's probably something like my camera seems to be like I'm floating a little bit, like lagging. I don't know why.
It looks all right from this end.
No, I know it just slows down a little bit. Anyway, no, it's been a while since we've done this, and we'll be here. Your once a month podcast.
Yes.
I joke about it, but honestly, like at this rate, between everything going on,
I've been doing more 1202s than we've been doing this, and that's
we know that's like what is it? What is it? So we're down to what 12 a year, 12 annual shows if we do it once a month, which you know
we could do that. That's
we could I don't know. I might want to look into how to adjust the format if we ended up doing that ultimately, because I don't know. I like this. I like talking without the show notes to keep us on track. Although I do miss that a little bit. So
I think there's got to be a happy medium. So I mean, maybe I think once a month is probably not, but maybe once a fortnight is you know, as a baseline, and then if we get to do more in between, then we'll do so. And well, Neil's very quick off the mark. Neil Gainey's said hello to us on LinkedIn. So good. In fact, what time is it good? Is it good? More afternoon with you?
Afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon.
And good old Neil. Neil is here every time we stream. Every single time. Thank you, Neil.
And in fact, Neil popping up there has reminded me, I don't think I replied to your last email, and I must do so. So my apologies for that, but please do carry on carrying and filling out the form regardless, which is very encrypted messaging for anybody else out there. So there we go.
Fill out the form.
What you've been up to then? So since we last chatted, have you moved the ergonomic dial in any way?
Have I moved the ergonomic dial in any way?
Have you done some fun and interesting things?
Huh.
So that's a no. Okay.
Wow, you make my life sound so boring. You know how it is. You get caught up with something. And actually, how about this? Last time we were on one of these things, we got the question about happy medium. These dad jokes. I live for these dad jokes. Happy medium. Last time we were on, somebody in chat asked us about human factors being applied to domains or industries that would really benefit from it.
Yeah.
And I had brought up like legal and tax code. So speaking of taxes, it's a big old thing that we do here in the States. It's a big old thing we do here in the States. So, how do I want to tell this story? So it's been kind of looming on my plate. And in fact, it's been on my to-do list for a while now. My very long to-do list of stuff that is blurred out intentionally. It's probably for the best. Yep, there it is. It's actually number 1 on there. I did them, but it's not crossed off yet. So I'll just show you. It's my number 1, taxes.
Yeah.
They're done. But the way that they were done was very interesting. This weekend, or I guess this last weekend, I was saying I'm going to do it Saturday. Saturday comes and goes. I take care of a bunch of other things on this list.
I've just frozen. Look at me.
Oh, you have? Yeah, you're frozen. Look at you.
Yeah.
Turn off your camera, turn it back on. See if that works.
Yeah, it does. It happened to me when I was recording the other day.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
Annoying.
Now you're just a disembodied voice. That's okay. I like it. Hopefully, there we go. Okay. There you are. Hi. So to start the story, even because I haven't even begun, Saturday didn't happen Saturday. Took care of a bunch of other things on that list. Sunday didn't happen Sunday because I ended up going to bed at like 8 or 9.
Nice. Yeah.
It was a very early evening, and which has actually had some lasted impacts for the way I've been sleeping this week. Like, I've not gone to bed after 10 p.m., which is very abnormal for me. Like, I'm usually an after midnight type of person.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, all that to say, went to bed early on Sunday night, and then I woke up at like 2 a.m. and I got out all my tax forms, and I literally sat here and did all my taxes at 2 a.m. Went back to bed at 3, and then got a notice from the IRS in the morning saying, "Hey, you got this wrong." And in my sleepy stupor, I had mixed up my wife's birthday and my son's birthday in terms of the day, and not the like, everything else was fine, but the days were swapped.
Right.
They're like,
Okay.
"Hey, this is wrong." And so I swapped them, and then they're like, "Okay, this is right." So I wonder how much else I got wrong in my sleepiness, and I hope it's not a lot.
I mean, surely the way that you guys submit taxes has got to be ripe for good HF
Human
intervention.
factors. Yeah.
Because
I brought it up.
I mean, how much of it? I mean, again, because we do our tax very differently. We do basically the government is very kind. They take it off us pretty much straight away. And so we do like pay as you earn. So it's all your employer largely calculates it all, and it's all taken off at source and all that sort of stuff. So that makes life nice and easy. So there's very little, unless you're like me. So I do a tax return, or rather, my assistant does my tax return because I'm self-employed. But how much detail do you have to go into? What sort of, is it you have to keep like all your receipts for the entire year, or is
No,
is
it's
it
not that
simpler?
bad. Although some people do, and the reason that you might want to do that is if you have your own business, or
Yeah.
get certain. How do I simplify this for someone who's never done U.S. taxes? Anyone who's based in the U.S. who wants to help me out here, help me out, please. I'm going to try to simplify it in this way. So when you get employed in the
Yep.
United States, there's a form that you fill out, and you say, "I want you to keep this much of my money."
Yep. Hmm.
Okay, and you have control over that for reasons that are, here in the United States, you can hold multiple jobs, and you can hold multiple different ways of earning money through things like a Patreon, or, hey, by the way, there it is if you want to do that,
That was
through a Patreon, or through various other a second job, or consulting, or
yep.
any number of things. You can have income sources, and you might not want to tax those things, but you might want to just withhold a little bit extra on your main paycheck, so that way all the things that you're earning income from are taxed appropriately, because you might not be taxed on those when they send those to you. And so the long and short of it is, everyone who has sent you money over the course of the year will send you a little thing saying, "Hey, we've been keeping track. Here's all the money that we sent you that you have to report on
Yeah.
as income." And then there are brackets. Obviously, if you make so much, then you fall within a certain bracket, and then you have to pay that much, which is why that form that I mentioned when you get hired at a place is so important, because if something else puts you over that bracket or into a different bracket, then you're going to have to withhold a different amount.
Yeah.
And so over a certain amount, it stacks, kind of. It's not off your entire thing, but the stuff that's over that amount will have to get taxed at a new rate. And so what we end up having at the end of the year is all these pieces of paper from various sources of income, and this could be one for one person. It could be for if you're filing together, and there's reasons to file together, because we have a child and get a tax break because we have a kid, and have to pay for certain things for him. And so government's like, here you go, good on you. But we get all these forms and we got to put them into one place and then file it, send it off to the IRS and say, here you go. You know exactly what I owe you is what I paid you from the withholding. What here's my math. Here's you know what it should be. Is that right? And you kind of hope, and then most of the time you get it right. So
they already know how much you owe them.
They already do.
So why don't they just send you a bill that says, "Here you go, pay this, please"?
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it be?
That just they must have already worked it out. Therefore, they go, "Here you go, pay us this," unless you have reasons not to think that. Anyway, there are a number of reasons why we're slightly critical of the USA at the moment. So I think that's probably the the least issue right now.
Well, so part of the problem, yes, the IRS knows exactly what you owe them. We can just call this human taxers cast, and they do know. And what's happening is a result of companies lobbying. One may or may not start with an I, which is a parent company of another software that starts with a T.
Subtle. So
they lobby, and you can file your taxes for free. The problem is that it's not easy to do. Now that's changing. There's been some government funding, to be put into a self-service portal for people to fill out their taxes, which is great. It's actually a nice change. Not a whole lot of people know about this yet, so they still use the T program that you have to pay for. And there's some chat that we'll read in just a second. But yes, you could become a politician just using that as a platform. Hey, instead of we'll send you a check. So let's read some comments here. Neil, Nick, you're ahead of me. I'm presuming that's on taxes. There's a lot of way that politicians have established to get discounts on your taxes based on certain things, i.e. you contribute to the economy. So if you have your own business, if you basically employ others, if you have children, X, Y, and Z, so you can take, different types of things. If you have a business, you might want to do like an itemized deduction where that is counting the receipts and seeing all that stuff. It's dark magic. Yes, it is. And then, but the accountants and tax software companies lobby hard to make it hard to understand, to keep themselves in business. That is true. And then Neil's asking for that link. Let me see here. So from what I understand, Neil, I'll find it. U.S. tax. I don't even know what to look for. I've seen it in some of my feeds, so I'll try to find it while we're talking here. But is this it? IRS direct file pilot. Yeah, so there are some caveats to this. I'll paste it in chat, so hopefully you can see it. It'll be pasted across certain channels. It doesn't look like it's getting pasted to LinkedIn. So it's directfile.irs.gov, and this is it's a pilot for the this government funded option, and it's pretty limited this year. It's a pilot, so it's going to have, you can only do it if you have like a W-2, 1099G, SSA 1099, 1099 INT, boxes 1 and 3. So this is code for.
I was going to say that
getting really, really complex here. But if you have a 1099 NEC or a 1099 miscellaneous or a 1099K or a 1099R, unallocated tips or unreported tips, alimony that is required to be included in your income. None of that. So it can't handle the complex use cases. But I'm pretty sure this is like a slow rollout. So that way, over time, this will become a more reliable free option. Because, the tax companies and accountants lobby hard. So it's confusing so that you use their software and consultants to simplify it. All right. We've spent, 15 minutes talking about taxes because I sleepily did them earlier.
Do you feel better for that now, though?
No. No. It's, I don't know. I always feel like I've done something wrong when I file my taxes.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because I got a check from a different state that I lived in a couple years ago where I did file something wrong. And they're like, hey, you owe us $2,000. I'm like,
that's a
that's a big difference. How did I mess up that bad? And so like I try to save more up front and say, okay, hopefully you got what you need and you can just give me some stuff back. And it's big old nightmare. So no, I don't feel great about it because I got more back this year than I did last year, and it seems like I did something wrong.
I'm
Who
sure.
knows?
Yes, it's well. If it makes you feel any better, I've been on the wrong side of that before. That was it last year because I'm doing 2 different roles at the moment, and then obviously in a similar way to what you described, we can offset the tax on I guess set the balance on where the money comes out of, and for some reason one of the people doing it didn't quite set it up right, and so we had the taxman come to me and say, you owe us a bit of money, and it turns out it was quite a lot of money. So we're like, okay, fair enough. I don't like it, but there we go. Anyway, I guess so. We should probably move on to different things that you could apply human factors to.
Yeah. Well, hang on. While we're there's more people filing in, so thank you for pun intended with the taxes and filing. More people coming in, so thank you for joining us. Wow, there's actually quite a bit of you right now. Wow, that's a lot. So if you're watching us, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can leave us a voicemail. 2, I'm actually going to put a link here. If you want to join us for some conversation tonight, that'd be amazing. We would love to know what's new in the human factors world. If you want to share some interesting work that you've been working on with us, you can be a disembodied voice. You don't have to be on camera. All that stuff. So what I'll do here is I will put this little Be a Live Caller link right up here. You'll be staged in backstage. We'll ask you some questions in a private chat to see what it is, and we'll bring you in when it makes sense to do so. So I'll leave that up here for a little bit. While we are doing that, though, for those of you who are watching live, would love to know what's been new in the human factors world in terms of news. I know there's some things out there, but I want to source it from you. There's some things that maybe Barry and I can talk about in the interim, but please leave us a chat with what you're interested in hearing more about. Maybe starting some spirited discussion across the chat rooms for some human factors consideration. Barry, you were about to jump into something before I rudely cut you off to invite everyone to become a live caller. What were you going to bring up?
Pretty much that. So no, that's all good. I think we were going to potentially, like I said, last time we did this, we were talking about different areas where you could apply human factors, and I was trying to remember how long it is since we've actually done an episode, and whether I'd done a 1202 episode by then. We might not have done so, or I just had one go out. I'm not sure. I was trying to situate.
Well, why don't you tell the people what's new over at 1202?
So having gone from done no episodes at all, I've now got 3 new ones this year, which is quite good. So we've talked medical devices, medical human factors with Fran Ives here in the UK. And then I went to Canada. I didn't do it myself, obviously, but I talked to Madeline Shute over in Canada, who's an early careers ergonomist. And I thought it was really fascinating because I assumed that obviously HF is quite big is big in the States. I assumed that Canada, just being over the border, that it would be in a similar sort of situation, that they would have, well-defined human factors within the industries there. Turns out, no. There's the human factors domain is a comparatively few and far between. And given what I've wanted to visit, if not move to Canada for quite a long time, then that made me think, is it worth going over there and starting the ergonomic boom in Canada? And realize that actually to have the human factors there, you've actually got to have the industries to go and do human factors too. And I definitely don't know enough about that. And I think my kids would also be quite upset if they came home one day and we just emigrated without them knowing. Some might say that you should take the children with you, but and then the one that's just gone live last week was all about air traffic control, which is really, really cool. So I learned a lot more because we not only had the head of human factors on there, but also an air traffic controller. And she gave us massive amounts of insight into what it's like to be an air traffic controller. And she seemed to really enjoy the job, given she'd been doing it for 26 years. And a lot of people, apparently, once you become an air traffic controller, it's actually comparatively rare that you leave, because it's that sort of role that you just get into and keep doing, and it keeps you engaged and good work-life balance, all that sort of jazz. So yeah, so a bit of a spread, and then I recorded another one yesterday, which will go live a week on Monday. But
look at you pumping out episodes.
But in the interim, I've been going crazy on the likes of TikTok and on the short form stuff. So trying to get in at least one drop a day, to try and do that whole regular but often piece, and that's made a real difference. Certainly on TikTok and LinkedIn. The engagement has been massive. So, and one of the tools that we tried out a while ago has sort of revamped itself and actually become useful. So though they've just done another revamp and made it slightly less useful. But overall, no, it's helped quite a lot. Yeah,
that's great. That's great. I am let's see here. Hang on. We got one chat from Neil here. HFES Government Relations Committee member involved as a member of the FAA Special Panel on the Boeing incidents. A few good call-outs of HFE issues identified. Ooh.
So presumably that involved
doors and wheels and bolts. Oh my.
It's because the last thing I read on that was the doors didn't actually have any bolts in them, or had very few bolts in them.
So then there was something else that happened where on takeoff a wheel dropped off.
Yeah.
And
we're just rearing down the runway.
Oops.
I wonder if they put the work experience or the intern on some of the things, just to the fact the job would have probably been done better then, wouldn't it? But yes, so I sense Boeing's not having the greatest of times of it at the moment.
No, I don't think so. And we have friends at Boeing. Don't work on the plane. Well, they work on.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Well,
moving on.
We have friends, and we would very much like for those friends to come back on the show. So, look, we can comment about it. They just can't when they come on. So
exactly. But you must be to be one of the senior board members or something like of Boeing. You must be sat there just going over your the morning newspapers or whatever it is, or getting the phone calls late at night saying, when we thought we'd just got over this issue, well, the wheel fell off or the doors fell off. Yeah, their board meetings must be a treat at the moment.
There's an article from Matador Network. I've never heard of them. Boeing's real bad, very ugly, 2024. every incident involving Boeing planes this year so far.
Oh, it's that sort of
January 5, a door plug blows off Alaska Airlines flight 1282 from Portland to Ontario. Jan 9, Alaska and United reportedly lose hardware during inspections of aircraft. January 16, 4 passengers on Alaska Airlines announced lawsuit. Feb 6, United 737 MAX 8 experience stuck rudder pedals. March 7, tire falls off a United Airlines flight shortly after takeoff from San Francisco. March 11, 50 passengers injured after Boeing 787 Dreamliner dropped suddenly midair. March 9, where are we? March 11, Boeing fails 33 of 89 audits during FAA inspection. March 13, a United Airlines flight has a fuel leak en route from Sydney to San Francisco and is forced to turn back. March 15, we're March 21. Boeing plane arrives in Oregon with missing external panel. Some of these I didn't even know about, and this is quite a bit.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to, I mean, obviously, when you look at Stark lists like that, they look bad, but I guess it's about context, isn't it? It'd be interesting to do a similar comparison to, say, Airbus or McDonnell Douglas or somebody like that who does that. And so a lot of that isn't Boeing's fault. It's ongoing maintenance issues. It's ongoing, with the airline and things like that. But yeah, it still is the Boeing headline, isn't it? It's oh well.
Well, while we're waiting for y'all to chime in with news stories, if you want to hear about them, I figure maybe we can take a look at some news sources, and I'm just going to take a look through here and see if there's anything that catches my eye from a human factors perspective.
I've got one.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. I'll take a look through here while you're reading that one, and I'll take a listen while you're saying that, so I can multitask.
So this is off the BBC, and it's Neuralink video showing playing chess using a brain implant. So in a live stream on X, patient Noland Abba explained that he was playing a game of chess online using a device in his brain to move the cursor. He appeared in the video beside Neuralink's brain interface software lead, Bliss Chapman, and answered questions about how the technology works, saying that it required him to imagine the cursor moving. The 29-year-old said he'd become paralyzed from the shoulders down after a diving accident. He said the Neuralink device was intuitive and his experience using it was wild. So there is a bit of a video here, which I won't play because I think it'll overdo my thing. But that sounds quite cool. We talked about brain implants in the past, and to have something working or looking like it's working now is quite the deal.
I wonder though, like it feels like this has been done before. There's been brain controlled. So here's something from Associated Press in 2015. Brain controlled chess is here. There's a BCI based on it. So I wonder if this is in the news for who's associated with Neuralink rather than the technology itself. And I'm curious to not necessarily have that discussion, but what is new here that is happening? Is it sort of based on because I'm looking at this article from 2015. Hold on. Let's see here. There's several in here.
Yeah. So what seems new, I mean, it might just be new to me because the way that they're describing it, but every type of brain interface device that has been done so far has not really been a link to, let's say, thought around the action you're doing. You just have to do a certain type of thought in order for the brain to fire in the way that it does to translate into movement. So where I've seen them do the interface stuff before, you maybe think yellow, and that will cause the drone to maybe go up or down or something like that. This way, it's where he describes it saying, imagine the cursor moving. That, for me, sounds like it is more in line with what you'd expect a brain interface device to do. to actually do it. Oh, my camera stalled again. Genius. I'll reset that in a second. This feels like it's more of a it is more along the way of where I expect, or you would naturally expect a brain implant to be, for you to say, you to imagine go up, down, left, right, go go there. This feels like it's progressing along that line, but you're right, it might just be a similar technology with because it's what it's doing.
It could be, but again, at the same time, it's also interesting to think about the how do I even phrase this? It's I'm trying very hard to not talk about the personality behind it, because I don't think that's the interesting thing here. For reasons that we probably discussed during the Cybertruck episode. So go back and listen to that if you want to get at what I'm trying to get at here. But I think the interesting thing to me is that because of that personality associated with it, and because of sort of this pop culture piece of it, we're starting to get really salient human factors issues being reported on. Like a BCI is being reported on. That's kind of cool. That's not something that, there might have been a headline about it, but I feel like this has been everywhere. And so from that perspective, I can appreciate that. The what's new is interesting to me. If anyone in the chat knows what exactly is new about this compared to potentially older BCIs, that'd be great for you to chime in on that.
So I haven't just found a slightly more detailed article. Yes, on X he was playing chess and demonstrating that, but he's also managed to use it to play the video game Civilization, Civilization 6. It does say it's not perfect; they're running into some issues, but this is quite interesting. The device itself is about the size of a £1 coin, and is inserted into the skull with what microscopic wires, which can read the neuron activity and beam back a wireless signal to a receiving unit. So it is still basically a read-only device. We know that the ambition is there to do almost the two-way transmission of data. But
yeah. Tell me when we can write to a brain, because that'll be
scary. What else have we got? Oh, that's quite cool. So we always like to talk about AI, don't we?
Sometimes.
Well, this is quite a good one. An AI tool tested by the NHS here in the UK has successfully identified tiny signs of breast cancer in 11 women, which have been missed by human doctors. So it was a tool that's been piloted alongside clinicians and analyzed mammograms of over 10,000 women. Most of them were cancer-free, but it successfully flagged all of those with symptoms, as well as an extra 11 the doctors didn't identify. That's really cool. And it just sort of shows the value of AI in doing that sort of work.
Another article here on AI that has sort of captured my attention. I'll read the headline. We can dive into the merits behind it. But AI outperforms humans in standardized tests of creative potential.
Of creative potential? Ooh. Well, that's something we've talked about in the past, isn't it? About how, does the whole AI art, AI generated art scene compared to human art? Where is the value in it, and what does it actually do? Yeah, that's interesting.
To further, your camera's frozen again. The three tests utilized in this study here were the alternative use task, which asks participants to come up with creative uses for everyday objects like a rope or a fork. The consequences task, which invites participants to imagine possible outcomes of a hypothetical situation, like what if humans no longer needed sleep. And the Divergent Associations task, which asks participants to generate 10 nouns that are as semantically distant as possible. For instance, there's not such semantic distance between dog and cat, while there's a great deal of distance between words like cat and ontology. And so those are the three tests, and one of which I can see where it would really excel at, which would be the words, because we don't have all those things built into our head. And so when it has access to those large language models, that type of thing would make sense to me, that cat and ontology very distant, and it almost has built-in measurements for those types of things that at a base level it is operating as a very fancy autocorrect, okay? And or autocomplete. And when you have that as the basis for that model, it's very easy to kind of say, okay, these two words I never see together. And so that, measuring that as a creative task, then you have you would have that greater score, I'd think. The other two are interesting to me because those should be an average of what humans would respond with. But if they're not, then I don't know. Anyway, interesting article, just something that caught my eye here. That's from about a month ago.
The UK government is wanting to see the first flying taxis take off in 2026. So a mere 2 years away. And
that's always 2 years away.
Yeah, and it's the magical space, because then 2 years later they expect it to be a regular sight. So they've got this plan, which is the future of flight action plan, developed with the aerospace industry. Also says that drones and other flying vehicles will become more autonomous. It predicts that the first pilotless flying taxi will take off in 2030. I mean, that's really interesting. It's a great ambition, I think, because I think with a lot of these things you've got to have the ambition to do it. But I don't know. I just don't feel that the human infrastructure is there to make that work.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talk around human machine teaming, trust in technology, trust in AI, and all that sort of stuff. That our airspace is so regulated at the moment in sort of built-up areas and things like that, and we struggle with people keeping drones out of airspace that they shouldn't be in, and regulating that sort of stuff. How are you then going to regulate flying cars? And that's regardless of whether how well they work. It's but if it does work, then I'll have one for my back garden, please, because it would make me get into work a lot easier.
Take one flying car, please. I'll take that
with the maintenance package, because it's going to need it. So,
hey, speaking of you and I were talking a little bit about medical human factors before this. I feel like it's probably worth it to note that similar to what we have done at HFES in previous years, Heidi, friend of the pod, Heidi Merzad, is going to be out at the Human Factors Healthcare Symposium, or I always call it the Human Factors Healthcare Symposium. The full title is the HFES International Symposium on Human Factors and Ergonomics in Healthcare. That's actually happening in just a couple days here, March 24th through the 27th in Chicago. And so Heidi's going to be on the floor. She's going to be doing several Instagram lives with folks from the conference. And so we're hoping to get some live coverage out to you all. I know she's planning to do some sit-down conference coverage as well, so that way that'll be out there on the Safe and Effective feed. Just want you all to be aware of it. And if you are going to that event, like, what is something that you're looking forward to from the Healthcare Symposium? I've actually, despite covering the Healthcare Symposium virtually, I've never been to one in person. And we've always had other folks associated with the podcast go out on our behalf and check out the event. So we've had like Elise in the past go out there. Blake has been out to these events. And so we've never actually had any sort of, like, I've never been there. And so I'm always kind of curious what people are excited for, because I hear it's a very different beast than HFES. So if you're going, Would love to hear what you're excited for. Who are you hoping to see? Who are you hoping to talk to? What are you hoping to learn? Um, and of course, tune in for all the coverage on the Safe and Effective feed. I think that about covers that.
Whilst we're talking about conferences in a month's time, or just over a month's time, it's the Ergonomics and Human Factors 2024 here in the UK, which I'm quite looking forward to. I'm taking, I think, all of my team to go and do that, which will be good fun. And unlike the past 2 years, I've got a paper in the mix as well, so I'm presenting.
Ooh.
So I'm quite looking forward to that piece. And we're moving the annual award ceremony to be back in the because it always used to be that we do the annual awards on the second night, so on the night where you have the conference dinner as well. So that was going to be that, but then we have managed to. So it for the past 2-3 years, it's gone virtual. Basically, since COVID, it's been virtual. But now we are going back live again, and so I get to host it live this year, so and in person. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Let's try to get some conference coverage out of that if we can.
Yeah, this year.
You gonna bring your kit this year? Don't leave it at home.
No. I bought all the kit except the power leads. I mean.
Oh, right. It was the power. Right.
It was the one bag that had basically all of the transformers in and stuff. You know? And I was like, wait, have you bought that bag up? Oh, yeah, that wasn't that. And it was so annoying because I had literally everything else. My room was packed full of kit. And yeah, that was just mad. But whether we get to it this year, I'm not entirely sure because I've still got, I'm still doing the whole past president piece. But next year, all else failing, I definitely want to get some stuff sorted. So we shall see how that rolls. But there's going to be so many. There are so many papers this year. They've had to put on an extra stream. So normally we have 3 streams going through 2 days. This year we've got 4 streams going through 2 days. So that's great in of itself. So quite looking forward to it. Quite looking forward to that. It feels like the actual pilgrimage.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to living vicariously through you as you go to EHF. Cool. I always love hearing from folks who go out to conferences to hear about their experiences because it's just a different. It's just so different from the normal day to day. You go out, you see all your human factors friends, and learn about what they're doing, and feel all sorts of tinges of imposter syndrome, and then really just are like, wow, you're doing some incredible things, and I'm just so happy to be in the presence of you or to be known by you.
It's it certainly does that when you sat there and you listen to some of the stuff that people have been researching or doing case studies, and you're there going,
they really humble you.
Okay, that's different league stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, anyway. Hey, if you're just joining us, I see we are probably at the most concurrent viewers we've ever had live. So thank you for joining us right now. That is quite exciting to me. If you are just joining us, we're hanging out. We're talking human factors things. If you've seen anything in the news you want to hear about or hear us talk about or want to bring up anything that you've been working on, you can drop it in the chat. Let us know there. Or if you're brave enough, if you are a brave soul, you can scan this QR code and be sent to our backstage. We will let you in and you can let us know what you want to talk about. And if you scan that, you'll see what happens.
So something that's happened in the UK in the past few weeks, and I'd be interested in your take on this. Our royal family have been getting itself into all sorts of knots about photographs using AI and editing photographs. So we've had basically one member of the royal family. She's been out of the public eye for a bit because she's had some surgery, and so then on Mother's Day she had a photo taken with her and her kids, because there's all sorts of conspiracy stuff going on in the background, but I don't really want to focus on that too much. But she had this photo, and what she then did was use, a phone app to touch up the photo.
Mhm.
And of course, so then this photo got distributed by Kensington Palace, and then all of the major like Getty and all them who distribute photos put a kill notice on it, saying actually you need to stop distributing because we realize that AI has been used or it's been photoshopped basically, and therefore have a lot of problems with it. And so then the Princess of Wales then came back and said, well, this is a photo I took myself. I'm an amateur photographer, and I touched it up. Yes, she did do an amazing job about it. So it's interesting having the profile of photo editing, where how authentic are photos that we're seeing, how much are you allowed to, because everybody touches up photos now, puts filters on them, etc., etc. How much are you allowed to do that before it becomes fake, and it becomes questionable in terms of its authenticity? And do some people have to be more authentic than others?
That's such an interesting question, because I have a rather personal story that I'll talk about here. And I think some of this discussion probably happens because of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the personal story, and it has to deal with my son, who has some pretty bad skin eczema, and there are times where it flares up and is worse than other times. And it doesn't matter what we do. We've tried a lot of different things in terms of medication, trying to get it to stop flaring up as much as it does. It's just something that we lived with. And the personal piece about this is, there's some memories that we want to preserve. Things like trips to Disneyland, or dinners out with the family, or something that we touch up digitally to remove any blemishes that might be in that moment, because we know that as he grows older and is able to maintain his skin himself, and hopefully without the aid of medication to sort of curb some of it, we want to be able to look back on those memories and not remember the blemishes or that was a really bad flare-up day, but rather the other memories associated with it. And so I think an interesting argument can be made for intent. What do you intend to do by digitally modifying this photo? You can say that there are perhaps less genuine or more malicious examples out there of modifying an image to sell a certain product or service. That would be lying to consumers, or is it because you have other techniques of visually modifying things? Like, I'm thinking about like a hamburger. They perfectly place all those hamburgers and melt the cheese over the side, and it's actually not even food in some cases, but you present it in that way to sell it. Is that crossing a line? What if it was AI generated? Does that cross the line? And so it's a fascinating question, because it's like, where is that line? I think a lot of it has to come down to intent. Holy moly.
And it's because I think that's where like this one story had come from, just taken at its very face value. It had been done because there'd been speculation around how the Princess of Wales is and all that sort of stuff. So I think it had been done in a way to head off that sort of speculation. And so the photo had been taken, and then it had been doctored and nudged there in a way that that you just perhaps it was naivety. I would like to think that people wouldn't be doing it unless the that there was nothing other sinister behind it. Because if it was supposed to be done in a sinister way, or if it was being done in a sinister way, quite frankly, there are people who are way better at it and wouldn't get caught out in such a rookie error, for want of a better expression. So I think by the fact it has been done so badly in that respect, that actually that means it's an innocent mistake rather than something intent. Equally, not one to push conspiracy theories, but that could be a double bluff. That they've done it to make it look bad, so you think that it's an innocent mistake. But I think that's possibly taken that too far. But who knows? We'll see how it goes. But I just think it's really interesting, like you say, where you've got if your intent is kind of innocent enough, and you're just doing the thing, then that's fine, isn't it? And I guess you've got to be comfortable in your own skin with what you're doing, and you're doing it for the right sort of reasons. But it does go to show just how much you can edit photos, and how much almost you build a sort of relationship with the consumer of the photo. And does it matter? It kind of goes back to one of the comments we were making earlier about you using AI to generate art, and whether we believe that art generated by AI is valid and useful and has a place, because a lot of artists feel that it's taking it's taking basically money out of their mouths, it's out of their pocket, because it's not
emulating their art style. It's
leaning into them, isn't it? Even if only minutely, because it's learning from everybody, and then generating something. But then it's also about what is in the eye of the receiver, because my insight into this has changed dramatically over the past 3 years, with my eldest daughter going to university and studying art, and seeing so much more with what she does and what my younger children do around the journey they go on. And so it's not just about the piece that they produce, but it's the journey they got to get there, which is fine. And with the stuff that I've seen from them, I now appreciate that a lot more. But equally, if I'm passing, I'm seeing art on the internet, I'm seeing art in a shop or something, maybe, I just think I like it because it looks pretty. I don't really think about the what's gone into the background of it, why it's been developed the way it has. It just looks all right, and wouldn't look atrocious on my wall. So, yeah, where is the value in art?
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting question, because with art, in a lot of ways, that is subjective. But then we talked a little bit about AI and healthcare earlier, and some of the interesting things, even with an article that you brought up earlier with the breast cancer screening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're trying to save lives with that type of technology.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is the intent. Does it take away from the doctors? No, I think it actually enhances their capabilities. They're still capable of detecting. It just might be that, an AI system is capable of detecting a little bit more, and forces the doctor to go back and take a second look. Probably still requires human diagnosis, and it's fascinating when you think about all the different applications and how some might be more socially acceptable than others. And it's also interesting on where we draw that line of what is acceptable.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any one answer to that at the moment. I think as we use it more, our perception of it is going to change. In fact, I was in a meeting where we were talking about pretty much this very thing, about how our acceptance of AI is going to change and evolve. And I keep on likening it to the way we use satellite navigation. So sat-nav, like Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever. When we first started using them systems, we dived into it and really got into we got into it, and it really played on the would set out the route, and you'd dive into it and go, how did you get that route? How did you get? You'd want to know the full ins and outs of it, and whether you could choose something else, and that type of thing. Whereas now you just choose a route. It gives you your route, and that's fantastic. You rarely go in and dive into change the route, because you trust it. You trust the process, and AI is pretty much going to get there. Where at the moment we are very keen on, right, we want to know exactly why it made its decision, how it made its decision. In many ways, we hold it to a higher standard. We're saying it is a replica of human intelligence, whereas we know that human intelligence can be fallible. We hold AI to a higher standard, that it should never ever be wrong. I think that may change, evolve, or whatever. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think when we're talking about this, say in 10 years' time, we are going to be talking about it in very, very different ways to what we're talking about it right now.
No, Barry is not intentionally frozen. Actually, tech support Nick is going to jump in here. Barry, is your camera plugged into a hub?
It is, but it's always been plugged into a hub.
Okay, hang on. So let me tech support here really quick. So if this ever happens to you, anyone whose camera freezes, I want you to quickly do a search in the bottom left-hand corner of your Windows computer. I don't know about Mac. For Device Manager. Barry, could you bring that up really quick? Device Manager. Okay. Yep. You are going to look under Universal Serial Bus Controllers for your hub. And once you think you found it, you might have to go through a couple of them. Yep. Right-click on it, Properties, under Power Management. Yep. Make sure that allow the computer to turn off this device to save power is unchecked. You might need to go through a couple of hubs if you have a couple different hubs on there, but just make sure that's unchecked, because what's happening is that sometimes your computer might turn off that hub to conserve power, and if your camera's connected to it and requires power, that might be what's happening.
Well,
tech support.
Well, there we go. In fact, why have I got so many hubs?
I know, I have a lot too. And sometimes it's just USB devices that are recognized as hubs.
Yes, that's true. So, cool. Okay. I'm just going through and doing that now.
For everything. I do it for everything. I'm like, why are you doing this? It's just so annoying. I have to do it for a couple more, because I have, we'll just take a minute. We'll take a minute to do the allow the computer to turn this off for power management setting. There's got to be a global setting for it, but I'm not sure where that is. So if anyone knows that one.
I think that's them all done. Awesome. Right. Let's see if I freeze again. Because annoyingly, when I was recording the episode I recorded the other day with air traffic controllers from NATS, I froze halfway through. And if you watch the video, so in the audio, you can't really tell. I've cut the bit out where we sort of say, oh, look, he's frozen. And we were still chatting. We were still doing our thing. But in the video bit, I put some amusing editing on there to sort of, goes frozen. And then I put some text on there to say, yes, and yes, Barry, there's nothing wrong with your feed. Barry is actually frozen at this point. And then as it goes, as I'm sort of then just frozen, I put like sort of text on there and say, yeah, Barry's, whilst listening to what's going on, Barry's frantically trying to work out why he's frozen and how he's going to fix this. It's my most humorous edit yet. I think it's funny.
I'm going to watch that later.
Yeah. I thoroughly encourage everybody to do so. If nothing else, just to laugh at my panicking in the background. But
I seem to recall
if you previously, then you could have solved it for me, but clearly not.
Yeah. Well, I seem to recall at some point us talking. At some point, I had recommended a certain episode of a certain television show. Did you ever watch that?
I can't remember what we're talking about.
It's Always Sunny. Did you watch that episode?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, okay.
I did.
All right.
Yes, I need to go back and there's a whole bunch of stuff we're kind of trying to watch at the moment, which doesn't help with the fact I've actually gone back and restarted The West Wing.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because there's just some times when you've just got to go and so I'd forgotten because I hadn't watched it in a while and just forgotten just how great a series it is. And I've actually gone in and clipped some because there's the one episode that talks about ergonomics and the value of ergonomics and things like that. And I've clipped some of them episodes, so them bits to use in future presentations because there's just got to be an opportunity to use that at some point.
Oh yeah, there has to be.
But yeah, so no, unfortunately, I haven't been and watched that stuff. I'm afraid. But I will get into it at some point. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow, but sometime. Oh dear me, it's quite late.
It is quite late. I know you had said that maybe we won't go for the full 2 hours. How are you doing?
I can do another half hour. I think that'd be.
I think that's good.
We've got to ease back into it. No, it's been, as I was saying to you the other day, it's been quite a roller coaster. About 3 weeks, I think it is. Because anybody who's been following my socials and stuff will know that we rebranded my company the other day.
Yeah, you're wearing some swag right now. You want to show everybody?
Well, wrong side. I've done that before. So we've got now a new logo, which has this head, really the K sharp bit, all kind of looks sort of similar to what it used to be. But this new logo bit is something I was really quite keen to do because when we first set the logo that we used to have, it was more something generic that I don't think we were entirely sure where the company was going to go. And we wanted something that if we decided to flex into maybe a wider systems engineering role or more maybe project management-y or maybe a more holistic service, that it would cater for that. It would allow us to go into that no problem. Whereas I think we've sort of got the idea now that, yeah, we do this human factor stuff. And so we've changed the tagline because the old tagline was optimizing human potential, which would go into anything. Whereas now we're just being bold. So we're now innovators in human factors. We're admitting it. But the other thing I wanted was we had the K of the K sharp as that person piece. Whereas now I've got this logo, this person logo, but that's actually got quite a lot of intrinsic meaning behind it. So yeah, we had a local company work on it with us, and I think it was a slight challenge for them because not that I'm picky or really quite intense about what I'm doing, but they would send ideas through, and within about, I don't know, 10 minutes, I'd have been through all of their ideas, annotated them all, and then come up with my own slide deck based on what they were doing to say, right, I think we need to be going down in this direction because of this reason. And but actually it took about a month, I think it was, of back and forth effort, and yeah, it's all been redone. And then the same company's then done all of our signage, and now we've got a new merch, and so we're restocking. But one of the most interesting bits around it was we've had the last logo for around 10-11 years. The amount of places that you put the logo that you don't realize where you've put it is quite phenomenal.
I saw the call out on social media. Hey, if you find this anywhere, let us know.
Yeah. And in fact, I've just had another one tonight from I think it said, yeah, you haven't updated your Google page for the company. I'm like, oh, they still exist, don't they? And so there's all sorts of bits. And then on the 1202 podcast itself, I haven't updated the logo on there, which I realized just earlier. And
I was just about to say, I have a vintage mug around here somewhere with the old 1202 logo on it still that has the K Sharp logo on it.
That's true, yes. Oh, does the new one? Oh, no, I don't think we have. Do we have new mugs? What do we do for new mugs for that? Maybe we didn't do mugs. But yeah, but then there's like the sports teams we've sponsored who now their kit's invalid. So, and we'd only just got a new board outside of our local rugby club. And so I've had to get in touch with them to say, can I replace the board already? Because, I've just changed everything. So,
Alex in chat, Barry's sending us swag. Wow, amazing.
That was subtle. I like that. I like the way you delivered. That's fair play. Well, as Nick knows, I'm not adverse to sending stuff out to.
No, No, and
So
I was very surprised when I received a package from the UK with a shattered mug. It's
a broken mic in it. I'm trying to look around and see if we've got any of the new swag around here, but I don't think I do. I don't, it hasn't made it to this part of the house yet. We did have some pens and stuff, but I think that's all still in the house. So yeah, it's but it was such an interesting exercise because I hadn't realized just how attached I got to that old logo, and this idea about ditching it and bringing the new one in was just very much of the, I really like the symbology and the all of the bits behind the new one, but I was still very much of the but the old one, it meant a lot. So yeah, but it's like one of these things. We have to move on and do the right things. So yeah, so that's it's been a journey to get that, and then we realized that there's still a lot more money. So we've got like the new roller banners and all this sort of stuff, but there's still a lot more stuff to get. But good fun.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick Google search to see if there's any images that show up still. That's
there's bound to be.
Yeah.
Actually, I hope there's not too many, but I'd like to think I've got a lot of them.
Yeah, there's still some on your website that are coming up as pictures of it looks like a wall in the office space.
Possibly. Yeah, no, there'll be some from like the news sheets and stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So things like that we're not going to change. That just is. But
might want to work on the SEO of those because those are showing up as some of the top.
It's one of these things in the grand scheme of things. If we don't win much of our work through our website, shall we say? More around where things, but it is something that the more hopefully we will be pushing more things through. Yeah, we shall see how it plays out.
All right, I think I'm going to do one more call because if we're going to end in about 20 minutes, I want to give anyone one last chance here. Once again, if you want to be a live caller with us, sit here, either camera on, camera off, doesn't matter to us. You could be a disembodied voice, maybe even something like this. I'm still here, but I'm a disembodied voice. And Barry, I think you might be frozen. Dang it.
Oh, you said you'd solved it.
I thought I did. I'm so sorry.
Dude.
Well, actually, sometimes I have to go in and like edit those problems multiple times. The allow the computer to turn off this to save power. You might want to look at your power settings. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, if you want to be a live caller, if you want to talk about something human factors related, please scan this. We will ask you in a private chat about what you want to talk about, and then we will bring you on. And we got about 20 minutes to do so. So if you'd like to do that, if you'd like to be part of the show, if you'd like to be part of the conversation, or even just tell people about some of the cool work that you're doing, I think that's we can also platform folks. As long as you don't abuse it to sell anything, I think that's kind of a unwritten rule. If you do, I can turn you off right away.
Unless it's really good, then
it's really good, then we might be like, tell us more, and
then turn you off.
As long as we're not getting paid for it, that's payola. All right, let's see here.
So saying that, so we did. There was a conversation a long time ago about whether somebody was going to give us electric cars.
Right.
If somebody's going to drop a couple of
Apple headsets,
or Apple headsets, or anything like that, then exceptions can be made. That's not a problem.
I have some exciting news that so because of what we do, podcasting, I'm often referred by some of my colleagues to do things like voiceovers and like quick reference guides type things as like the voice. I can't say much about it, but let's just say that there's going to be some like highly visible things within a certain branch of the Department of Defense that has my voice attached to it that I'm actually kind of excited about. So that's kind of cool.
The mind boggles.
Oh, I'll tell you in chat. But yeah, it's
So that was I think I know what the problem is in the grand scheme of things.
regarding your
yeah.
regarding your camera.
Yeah, so the graphics card I've got is not an NVIDIA RTX one, which I know that the Camera Hub likes. It's an older, it's because I've got the desktop I've got now is a small form factor one. You can't get a decent sized graphics card in it. And so I'm toying with the idea of I might have to upgrade my computer again to do what it is that we need to do. And I'm justifying that by the fact that we do so much of this. So
well, I also, so hang on, I you bringing up graphics card brings up an interesting question and a space that I've kind of wanted to explore for a while. Would you want to play video games on this platform and talk about it from a human factors perspective ever? Because I think that might also be an interesting way that we could branch out from what this is if we did that. But it had to be intentional. It had to be talking about it from a human factors perspective. It would not be just us playing video games just to play video games.
So from my perspective, I think Alex has just volunteered to do that with you. I think we've sort of said this before. I don't really play video games that much,
and that's perfect. I think that's actually perfect.
Fair enough. But Alex has just taken the words out of my mouth. I'm all about the Minecraft, and so Minecraft is my go-to thing. Rather than any, I used to play some games and I would get seriously hooked into them and lose hours of my day, which is on the one hand okay, but actually not cool. So I mean, we could give it a go.
I mean, it's just an exploration question. If anybody watching wants to see that, Alex is clearly a yes on this. Again, like, this would be very intentional. We wouldn't be just playing games for the sake of playing games. We would kind of be looking at these from the lens of human factors practitioners, and talking about not only the maybe problem spots that we see, but also the genuine good design that we see in some of these systems. I think that might be kind of a cool, interesting way. It could be something different every week too. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing. We could try different things. That it might start with Minecraft, and we might talk about that, and we might talk about other things that we look at from just a high level. Like, I don't know, it could be a free game of the week or something. I'm just thinking about different ways to explore this stuff that we do. I
just saw that as well.
Oh, who's joining us?
This could go really nice ways.
This could be interesting. Oh, well, so that could have been could have been one of two things. Oh, okay. We have somebody in the background here. Hold on. Why don't you cover while I type?
I just found another bunch of USB places to switch off power management. So I'm hoping that what I've done is switch off all power management planning to my to the camera, so it might not freeze again, which will work right to the point that it freezes. So we'll see how that plays out. But going back to the Minecraft thing, what I like about the whole Minecraft piece is that you can pick it up really easily, whereas I was playing Valorant quite a lot. And Valorant, if you're playing it for the competition, not sort of competition pieces, you lose 40 minutes out your day.
Oh yeah,
and you can't drop out because obviously then you get banned and with all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
all right. We're talking about it. Let's bring in our guest, Alex. You are live with us now. Hi, welcome.
Hello.
There you
Hey,
are.
how are you doing?
So, because you've ventured into gaming and one Minecraft excellent media to utilize in terms of human factors like explorations, not only between like engineering that you can control within the game itself, but just, generally. I have recently, which these things have existed for a while, they're getting much, much better. Accessibility in video gaming has now come to like an insane pinnacle of things. I personally follow streamers that are quadriplegic, that are fully capable of playing not just games like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, simple or more simple side scroller type of things without a lot of, risk in the game. But games like Call of Duty, games like Fortnite, and things like that, utilizing these accessibility tools. And I would absolutely love to see those accessibility tools explored. We've spent so much time, focusing in multiple episodes on where technology is initially created for medical purposes and then kind of shifts into like governmental purposes, which then skyrockets pricing. And I have a vested interest in accessibility devices being actually accessible to like disabled persons, to medical need crowds. So I'm so for it and would love to participate in that alongside these things. And Barry will teach you. We'll teach you the games. It's okay.
Yeah, you can learn. You can learn. And you're frozen once again, Barry.
Yes.
But I think that's a great point. And I think you bring up some really good potential for being able to explore not only the software but the hardware as well. And for someone who's not physically disabled, it would be interesting to see how those devices translate for folks like us too, right? Like I would love to know like what I could do with a foot pedal in a game. Or just being able to hit something else that's off to the side and really take those devices and dissect them and maybe even literally do a breakdown to see what it is that we could potentially make. Part of the things that are so appealing of those accessibility devices are mostly that they're built off of a hub, and there's different interaction elements that you can use to customize your control. And so
right.
No matter what shape or form your body is, you can modify that controller to be adaptable for your environment. And you're right, they're treated as accessibility tools now, but could there be greater application of those types of control mechanisms to other applications as well? Welcome back, Barry.
Sure. Well, and then you also, I can't think of what the name of the technology is right now. I've been seeing it everywhere. It's like a new development in VR, the floors that you can install that have that. Yes. And seeing kind of what Disney put out recently and things like that, that amazes me. I don't think I'm coordinated enough to attempt utilizing one of those things without injuring myself. But that's amazing and cool, and also has further implications beyond just existing in what turns into like a 4D, space. I don't know if either of you have come across this. It's like a scent hub thing, where you can sync it into your video games, and it puts out the smells of like gunfire and
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's like it has these cartridges that you load up, and
Yeah.
it allows you to smell the things that you're experiencing in VR. And I feel like we did touch on that at some point, whether it was in a pre-show, a post-show, or a show itself. I know we had talked about that. It might have been in one of our like annual roundups.
I think it was. I think I certainly this hits with some of the work I'm actually doing at the moment with some project work around the power of scent and things like that, and some of the devices now that you get. I think we have talked about it before, because the ability to take your gaming or any sort of virtual experience by combining multiple sense input, having something else around. That's why haptics works quite well, is because you're triggering a number of different things, and the scent is just so powerful that if you can get that nailed so it truly works. I mean, gunfire or gunpowder, that type of thing is a comparatively easy thing, because it's largely one scent. Yeah, and it's sort of one thing to push out there, and you only have to get a bit of it to be sort of okay. That's gunfire. That's really cool. But it'd be really interesting to, when you're walking through maybe like complex domains which might have flowers and things like that. If they could really get into all of that, that would be really neat. But I think we're away from that at the moment, but I don't think it's as far away as we think to dynamically generate smells.
Very interesting. Well, thank you, Alex, for your call. We'll go ahead and put you backstage. If you think of anything else, let us know. I think we're going to start wrapping up here. So thank you. If anyone else wants to call in, I guess I think we may have missed our boat for this week. You can always leave us a voicemail. There you go. Yep. The QR code up there. You leave us a voicemail on our website. We'll see all those. But to wrap us up for this week, I think interesting space to explore. Potential there. Let us know what you think of those ideas that Alex was bringing up, especially exploring the space between some of those accessibility tools as they relate to gaming, but then also how we can sort of expand those out to other platforms and how they can be used elsewhere. Would you like to hear us talk about games from a human factors perspective? There are many talented people who work behind the scenes on some of these products and services. I feel like it's also another way to expand the type of thing that we do on this platform that is maybe perhaps a little bit more visually appealing than just watching two pasty white dudes talk about human factors. We can only do so much. So let us know what you think about that idea. We're going to keep exploring different ways to alter this format. I feel largely that the podcast right now is in a phase of discovery or rediscovery of what this ultimately is. Mm-hmm. I think podcasting is one thing that's an audio medium, and we've traditionally made the show for that format. I think there's a lot of things that we could do with multimedia that is exciting to me that I would like to explore. If you have ideas on that, let us know. We could also just keep being two pasty white dudes talking about human factors news. That's fine too. Really, my goal for this, whatever this thing is to be a hub for the community to get together to talk on a semi-regular basis about some of the challenges, some of the things that we're facing as a community, because you don't see a whole lot of human factors stuff like this out there. There are stuff out there. There are things out there, of course. Other podcasts. One of the hosts is sitting right next to me. But I think to me, the interaction piece, the getting folks involved, and really trying to make this a truly interactive multimedia type of thing for human factors as a potential. Anyway, I'm getting way off my high horse here. I'm getting way off of what I wanted to do initially, was to round us out and kind of end the show. But I don't know. I'm getting kind of philosophical here, and would be curious to what you all think of that type of approach.
You did just
yeah.
remind me that something that hit the wires this week that I think people talking about being a hub for human factors music type stuff. There is going to be going to be a new human factors podcast in the mix. So it's called Human in the Loop by with Adam Smith here in the UK, and I can't remember the name of the person who he's co-hosting it with. Where I should find that. Rhian Williams Skingley. They are co-chairing this, so they've put a trailer onto Spotify, which you can get through LinkedIn and stuff. But go and have a listen to it, because Adam also is really into doing his own music, so he's actually created his own jingle and recorded it. He actually, created the theme tune, sing the theme tune, all that sort of stuff, and just the enthusiasm in it, I think, it's next level. It's brilliant. So, bit of a promo for that. Go and have a listen, and I'm hoping that once they get their first first episode go live either this week or next week. And so it'd be interesting to listen in and see see what their take on it is and how they do it. So
yeah. I and look, like there's always room for more in this space. We've always been, actually, Barry and I met because he was watching me at office hours at Twitch one day, and we just messaged, and now here you are. I can't get rid of you. But but I mean, there's always more room for this. And you know what? If this becomes the hub for like podcast hosts to come and talk and like promote their stuff and the pod of pods, if you will, I don't care, as long as it's entertaining, as long as it's informational, as long as people are getting value out of this. That's my goal. And so I would love to have them on. If you ever interact with them, I know they're over in the UK, but if you want to like invite them onto 1202 and do an interview there, and if you want to invite them over here to do like, live panels with us, that's totally cool.
Yeah, well, we've already had a chat around because I like to do it's how we did ours, wasn't it? How Podcast Collide.
Yeah.
So hopefully going to get them on and do an interview to get it. Oh, I like doing the whole like what's motivated, what you hope to trying to achieve, what cool things you do that I can steal and use on my podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Just that stuff. So, but there's no way I can record my own theme tune the way they have it. It's really good.
I'll have to go take a listen. Pod Hub, the other P Hub. All right. On that note, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all so much for sticking around with us tonight. I know this is our historical high for concurrent viewership, so thank you. That's exciting to me. That's really exciting, actually. So thank you for being a part of that. If you want to get in touch with us, obviously leave us a voicemail. You can chat us on any of our platforms, send us an email, all that stuff. Take a look through our backlog category of different things that we've talked about on the show in the past. And of course, let us know your ideas for the future. I haven't done one of these outros in a while. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, of course, there's a couple things you can do always. Tell your friends about us. That is the number one way that we grow. You can leave us a 5-star review. That's free for you to do. You can do that right now. If you want to, we're kind of semi-regular now, so I totally understand if you don't want to give us your money. But if you do want to give us your money and help pay for some of the tools and technology that we use behind the scene, Patreon is right here in the lower left-hand corner. That is something that we do. We'll always take your money, but we've not really been putting back into that community in the way that we have historically. So if you're a current patron and want to back out, that's totally fine. We really appreciate any support that is sent our way either way. I'm really selling it, aren't I? All the links to our socials and website are wherever you can find us. Barry, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk more about what you smell like?
That's probably a slightly different conversation, isn't it? Like, was it only? No, that's different, isn't it? No, you can find me on 1202 the Human Factors Podcast. So find me at 1202podcast.com or on socials at Baz_K on many of the channels.
Only smells. All right, yeah. My name's Nick Rome. You can find me across social media at Nick_Rome, and of course, right here on our semi-regular basis that we do this stuff. Thank you all so much for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate all of you. And whatever you're going through in your life, hopefully there's brighter things on the other side, or if things are bright, then hopefully it stays bright for you. That was not very great at all. Anyway, what do we do at the end of this? It depends. All right. Ready? Until next time. It depends. Thanks, everybody. Bye, everybody. Bye.